Hello again. In John Karel von Baalen's book, The Chaos of Cults, he's dealing in this chapter with Rosicrucianism. He's reached the subhead Universal Evolution. Von Baalen says the axiom for the understanding of all this ceaseless activity of evolution is the Hermetic axiom, as above, so below, and vice versa. There is a constant flaming out and dying down of activity in every department of nature. In the beginning of a day of manifestation, a certain great being, called a god only in the Western world, limits himself to a certain portion of space in which he elects to create a solar system for the evolution of added sense consciousness. It all begins with the cosmic root substance, which is an expression of the negative pole of the universal spirit, while the great creative being we call God, of whom we as spirits are part, is an expression of the positive energy of the same universal absolute spirit. From the work of one upon the other, all that we see about us has resulted. Now there are 7 worlds, not separated by space or distance, as is the Earth from the other planets, but by their rate of vibration. The highest worlds are the first to be created, the densest world last. But every world, as well as man, passes through 7 periods of rebirths. The names of the 7 periods are as follows. First, the Saturn period, then the Sun period, third, the Moon period, fourth, the Earth period, fifth, the Jupiter period, sixth, the Venus period, and finally, 7th, the Vulcan period. These names have nothing to do with our planets, but they are the Rosicrucian names for the successive rebirths of our Earth. We know nothing of the 6 cosmic planes above our own, except that God, the architect of our solar system, is found in the highest division of the 7th cosmic plane, which is his world. But we know that our own plane, during its Saturn period, the first or lowest period of its existence, traveled in its evolutionary impulse 7 times around 7 globes. And when that laborious process ended, there followed the first cosmic night after the first day of creation, after which the Sun period dawned. Here the same process of the life wave circling 7 times around the 7 globes was repeated, and the Moon period was entered. From here on, we are told, the evolution of the universe cannot be understood except by students of arithmetic and the 4th dimension. It is interesting to learn, however, that even during the Saturn period, great creative hierarchies, far more perfectly evolved spirits, help man in his evolution. These hierarchies, called thrones in the Bible, worked on man of their own free will. Among these, the Lord of Flame, or the Lords of Flame, emitting a strong light by repeated efforts during the first revolution, succeeded in implanting in the evolving life the germ which has developed our present dense body. During the Saturn period, the Lords of Flame also labored on other spirits, namely the Lords of Wisdom, spirits not as highly evolved as themselves. But during the second or Sun period, the Lords of Wisdom aided man by radiating from their own bodies the germ of the vital body, making it capable of interpenetrating the dense body and giving to the germ the capability of furthering growth and propagation and of exciting the sense centers of the dense body and causing it to move. This work occupied the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th revolution of the Sun period. And so it continues and will continue. Spiral evolution for the ordinary people, with spirals within spirals, and the straight and narrow path of access to divinity for the initiate. The conscious soul of man will be absorbed by the divine spirit in the 7th revolution of the Jupiter period. The intellectual soul will be absorbed by the life spirit in the 6th revolution of the Venus period. The emotional soul will be absorbed by the human spirit in the 5th revolution of the Vulcan period. Since the mind is the most important instrument possessed by the spirit, and its special instrument in the work of creation, at this stage of human development, the spiritualized and perfected larynx will speak the creative word, but the perfected mind will decide as to the particular form and volume of vibration, and will thus be the determining factor. Imagination will be the spiritualized faculty directing the work of creation. In the Jupiter period, the human mind will imagine forms which will live and grow like plants. In the Venus period of that distant stage, he can create living, growing, and feeling things. And when at the end of the Vulcan period man reaches perfection, he will be able to imagine into existence creatures that will live, grow, feel, and think. He will, in other words, do for plants and animals, and even for minerals, what the lords of mind, those ancient hierarchies, did for him in the ages of long ago. He will help them acquire dense bodies, desire bodies, mind bodies, and other equipment. Finally, the divine spirit, God, will absorb man. His spirit will be merged into God, from whom it came, to re-emerge at the dawn of another great day as one of his glorious helpers. During its past evolution, its latent possibilities have been transmuted to dynamic powers. It has acquired soul power and a creative mind as the fruitage of its pilgrimage through matter. It has advanced from impotence to omnipotence, from nescience to omniscience. The question remains how man, in his present average state of evolution, may acquire first-hand knowledge of the truth of all the foregoing. The answer is that as a mechanic is a better worker in proportion to the precision of his tools, so man must develop his various bodies. The dense body must be trained by means of the proper food. Pages and lists of minerals and vitamins in the right combinations are given. The diet must, of course, be vegetarian. The sex impulse must be trained to produce spiritual rather than material creative forces. Moreover, man must learn to use the pituitary body and the pineal gland, two small organs in the brain. He must thus become a clairvoyant, which is far more difficult than becoming a medium. The latter is merely a revival of the mirror-like function possessed by man in the far past, by which the outside world was involuntarily reflected in him. The clairvoyant cannot live to eat and drink and gratify the sex passion in an unrestrained manner. Because he lives a life that causes less confusion in the dense body, he need not spend his entire period of sleep in repairing the damage done in the daytime by means of the desire and vital bodies, leaving no time for outside work of any kind. Thus it becomes possible to leave the dense body for long periods during sleeping hours and function in the inner worlds, in the higher vehicles. Next, it is necessary to reach a state in which the spirit is within the bodies and in full control of the faculties, as it is in the waking state, and yet able to work inwardly and properly sensitize the spirit's vehicles. Concentration in such a state, and he makes the point that this is not yoga because the vehicles of the Caucasian are so very differently constituted than those of the Hindu, that the methods of yoga, that is, union with the higher self, would not benefit us. So concentration, not yoga, meditation, observation, discrimination, contemplation, adoration, these are the words used in the description of how to become an initiate. But it would lead us too far afield for our purpose to inquire into the how of all these things. Next time, rather than describe Rosicrucianism, von Baalen is going to evaluate it. I'll put in a link in the meantime to a video we did some years ago on basic books of Bible prophecy. See you next time.